Shalom, shalom, shalom. Israel's brothers Yahweh
Brother Marcos.
coming back at you with another W5 history through the spirit. W5 history, all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. Right, first we like to give our honor and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. All right, for allowing us to do this mighty video. Wanted to go into the Jews in Africa. Right, the Jews, right, the Jews in Africa, man. Right, because you got a lot of our people out there in Africa, West Africa, South Africa, East Africa, North Africa, right? Hey, we are an omnipresent group, right? And every time we do a video, we got to go into these precepts, kick it off. Let me share the screen real quick. Every time you see a Hamite, and he says, well, every time you see somebody that says I'm from Africa, that doesn't mean they're always a Hamite, man. Right? You got to get into this history. Let me pull this up real quick. Let me know if you can see my screen.
I can see it.
I'm going to 2 Timothy chapter 4, chapter 2. It's 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse number 15. It says, study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed. Because when you go into the history, it's work. When you're going into the different books and you're going into scholars, you're reading different books, you're pulling up different articles, you're trying to go into the history to kind of paint a picture of what the scriptures has been saying and what the scriptures has been displaying to our people for thousands of years, man. Right? You can't be ashamed of that. Right? Rightly dividing the word of truth. And it's going to help paint a picture throughout history of where our people have been, what our people has been doing, right? Contemporaries, right? While we were doing this, other events were also happening as well, right? So we have to paint the picture through history, and we can't be ashamed of that, man. This is what Yahweh Bashim Yahushua has set up for us in these last days to uncover these secrets, to uncover the truth that Esau's been hiding for all these years, man. Right? This is Proverbs chapter 25 and verse 2. It is the glory of the Most High to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. And this is, through the spirit, our office is to search out the matter, man. Through this different historical concepts, right? Different, patterns in place where our people has traveled and been throughout different events. And Lord willing, we can bring that out, so the nation can be edified. But you got it.
Yeah, that's right. Let me backing off the brother. It's very beautiful to go into the history. Like the brother said, everyone that's from Africa is not a Hamite. All right, running into a brother, you getting to know him. He say, all right, I'm from this part of Africa. And you just chalk him up to being a Hamite. So it's really levels to this thing. Remember, we got taken from the west coast of Africa, and we're Israelites. We got taken from all coasts, of the land of Ham. So how much more of our people will still be over there? And when you go into the history, it's certain tribes and labels that our people went by. It comes with discernment in this thing. All right. And I want to get this quick precept in Deuteronomy chapter 19 and verse 18, going into Judges. Because the Most High made us judges in the last days. And even if you don't consider yourself a judge, in one way, shape, or form, you still are a judge. Because the Most High has commanded his chosen Israel to judge matters righteously. So this Deuteronomy chapter 19, and I'm going to jump down to verse 18 right to the point. It says, and the judges shall make diligent inquisition. So us being judges, when you going into this thing and you learning and you figuring this thing out, you have to make diligent inquisition when it comes to searching out your people. All right, yeah, we know the bulk of us is in America and the bulk of us is on the on the West Coast. But remember, a remnant of us is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. Right? And it's a lot of us over there in the land of Ham, so-called Africa. So the Most High said again, and the judges, in verse 18, the judges shall make diligent inquisition. And behold, if the witness be false witness and have testified falsely against his brother. And that's all I want on that. But the point is, you have to make diligent inquisition, a good search. You have to be able to search out the matter. Are you go to Sirach 5 and 15? The Most High said, don't be ignorant in anything in a great matter or small. So knowing that and knowing your people can be found anywhere, you should have it in your heart to search out Israel. All right, Sirach 5 and verse number 15. It says, "Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or a small." There's a lot of people that say, "Well, hey, look, they all the way in Africa. They ain't got nothing to do with me. All right, I'm in America. I'm better than them. All right, I ain't got to search out my fathers. I don't got to know where I come from." No, but it's important to know where your people come from, because again, the Most High said in Matthew the 24th chapter and all throughout the Bible, this word has to be preached through all the four corners of the earth, and then shall the end come. So how you gonna preach the word out to all four corners when you don't even know where your people scattered out throughout the four corners? All right, that's why it's real important to get into this history and to find where your people at. You got our people scattered in China, India, Africa, Asia, damn Australia. You got our people scattered all throughout the four corners. Make it your duty and your job to get this word out in some way, shape, or form to those people. Because again, those are our people. Those are the Most High's people. I got one more in Proverbs, the first chapter, verse number 5. Right, Proverbs chapter 1 and verse. I'm gonna start at verse 5. It says, "A wise man will hear and will increase learning." Linking up with like how the brother brought out Proverbs 25 and 2. The same way how a king searches out a matter and increases is the same way how a wise man is going to hear something and increase in learning. It says, "And the man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel." So when you get this knowledge and this, this wisdom, this understanding, and you begin to do your own homework and you searching out the matter, all right, in other words, that's you increasing and learning through the spirit. But that's all I had on that. You got it.
Let me get the classic. James 1 and 1. All right, this is the book of James, chapter 1 and verse 1. We always read this precept, right? To usually for Northern Kingdom, what I'm saying, break it down to Northern Kingdom, because we're all scattered abroad, right? But when you really read it says, "James, a servant of God and the Lord Yahweh Shemashia, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting." So this truth, like the brother said, has to go out, to all of our people wherever they're at, whether they're in, South America, Central America, or whether they're in, Africa, whether they're in Asia Minor. Our forefathers, where there's some of our people are still there, in Asia Minor. Germany, you got brothers in Germany, got brothers in China, Turkey, right? Our people are scattered everywhere, man. Right? So we have to, like the brother said, have to go into this, have to get into this, to educate our people a little bit more, so that the sealing of the elect, can further through the spirit, man. So we're gonna get into some of these articles. I'm gonna pull up this article real quick. Right? I'm gonna pull up this article. Actually, let me see which one I want to get in there with. Okay, come. So this is about the Lemba people. Right? Who are the Lemba people? Right? Like I said, this is, kind of going into a little bit of South Africa, because our people went to South Africa, right? It's going to tell you, right? The Lemba people. The Lemba people living in Venda in the Limpopo province are said to originate from one of the 10 tribes of Israel who crossed into Africa around 650 BC. Now, it says 650 BC, but when you get into it, we know what they're talking about. They're talking about after the Babylonian exile, which was 605 BC or 586 BC. So, couple decades off on the date, but we know what they're talking about, right? And it says they are proud of their roots and gather at least once a year to celebrate their customs. The far northern reaches of Limpopo province hold mysteries and legends like the Rain Queen, the sacred lake. This province is also home to the Lemba, who regard themselves as the descendants of one of the 10 tribes of Israel, right? The Lemba emblem is the seal of David with an elephant at its center. I was going with that. But it signifies a clan's membership to the Venda nation. Okay, so it's kind of symbolizing, to their nation, as it is a symbol of might, peace, and intellect, right? So basically, let me scroll down real quick. This is what I want. Here we go. The Lemba in the Limpopo believes they were separated from the other Jewish tribes around 2,700 years ago, right? right, going into the Babylonian exile, Nebuchadnezzar, when he had his campaign in the Mediterranean, pushing out Moab and Ammon to the east, right, pushing Israel or taking them exiled and pushing them south into Egypt as well, and then destroying the Egyptians in the Battle of Carchemish. Right, it says our fathers left Israel during a time when Jews were persecuted by Nebuchadnezzar. Right, like I said, we know what they're talking about. Right, around 605, 586, they came down through Yemen, Eritrea, Kenya, Uganda, and Mozambique before finding this place as John. So you had Israelite, when you read 2 Kings 23, 2 Kings 24, there was a remnant that was left in the land. Nebuchadnezzar took a lot of the Israelites as captives, but some of them fled to either Egypt or they fled south, man. Right, to Yemen, Eritrea, Kenya, Uganda, and Mozambique. You see that? So somebody can say, I'm from Yemen. I came here when I was 20. He could be an Israelite, man. He could be from one of the 10 tribes, bro.
It's like
you got it.
I was gonna make a quick point, and that's Northern Kingdom too. There's a lot of Northern Kingdom tribes in Africa. We was talking to the sister yesterday, and she was from the Yoruba tribe. We're gonna touch on that most I will.
Yeah.
But she was from the Yoruba tribe, and like how the brother said around that time, 605 BC. The reason, I don't want to jump the gun, but we go into the history. 605 BC, that was the Battle of Carchemish. All right, that was the same time when Northern Kingdom left Assyria and actually came to the Americas. They got taken captive in 722, and around that time of 605, that's when you go in. That's what the scholars say. Around that time, 605, the Battle of Carchemish, when Assyria and this great war was going on. That's when a lot of Northern Kingdom actually dispersed into the Americas and to Africa. So when you see these things like 10 tribes, that's Northern Kingdom. And we dealt with a brother yesterday too. He tried to say, Northern Kingdom. I don't think Northern Kingdom is, it's the Mexicans. They got spiky. I don't think it's the spiky hair ones. Well, you got to understand our people are scattered everywhere. You got them in the Americas, and you got them in the dead heart of South Africa and West Africa. So you can't. There's no way of getting around this thing. But I just wanted to make that quick point. You got it.
No, I can't. And yeah, there's no way of getting around that, man. It's just if you're saying that, that's pure ignorance, because like the brother said, it's in factual with history. Like this really happened. Now you can't deny history. In this, the people try to twist the scriptures and try to make it look like what they want it to look like. But when you link it up with the history, that's the concrete evidence behind what the Lord was saying, man. And we like I said, it was a testimony yesterday where we see a Northern Kingdom sister from from the Yoruba tribe. I'm gonna keep going on this a little bit. All right, it says some of the traditions from the Israelites still maintained by the Lemba include, the circumcision on the 8th day, eating kosher meat. Right, it says burying their dead with their heads pointed toward Judea, and then every year they gather a week before the regular New Year at a farm called Sweetwater's, called together by the Lemba Culture Association and bid to make and recall their roots, right, to remember where they're from. Now, let me go into this real quick, into this book. All right, I'm gonna pull this up real quick. All right, this is the book Hebrewisms of West Africa, right? Joseph J. Williams. And I don't want to pull up everything yet because there's a lot to go into, but I want to kind of get the part where it kind of proves about what they were talking about, right? All right, here we go. Right, this is page 190 of the book of the Hebrewisms of West Africa, and it says Julius Kerner, on the other hand, adopts a somewhat different view when he writes how the Falashas came into Abyssinia. Abyssinia is Ethiopia. It's surrounded by legends. Now, an opinion which appears to be historical is that the Falashas are descendants of the Jews who settled in Egypt after the first exile in 587 BCE, because you had Jews in Egypt, right, in 587. All right. And it says even before that point, 605, 620, Egypt was always a hot spot for our people, even going all the way down into the Roman Empire, right? Even during the time of Solomon. It says once they penetrated into the Sudan, into the interior parts of Abyssinia, right? And so it's going towards South Africa. In the 5th century of this present area, their number was augmented by captive Jews that was led away from the southern Arabia following Abyssinian wars in that peninsula. The new arrivals, together with many converts to Jerusalem and the old residents, fused into one community and forming a small state, led an independent existence for many centuries. So the point is, you had a lot of our people that went in to that went in towards the South Africa, man. Not everybody just went over the Euphrates River into Babylon or stayed in Jerusalem. A lot of them went south into Abyssinia, which is Ethiopia, right? And the Sudan, right? Let me get this picture pulled up real quick. Here we go. Right? Yeah, you see Yemen over here. You see Eritrea. And that links up with what the article is saying about the Lemba people, right? Where it says that, right? They came down through Yemen, Eritrea, Kenya, and Uganda. That's this right here. That's this right here. Eritrea, Yemen, right? The Sudan, right? And they came down. So you have a lot of our people, Somalia is right here. You have a lot of our people right here, man. And it's in this region. I had a Hamite at work. He said he was from the Sudan. And I said, about the 12 tribes, the Jews in Sudan. He said, oh, yeah, we know. We know the Jews. You know what I'm saying? I like your fringes, too. Because he kept asking about my damn fringes, man. So he knew what was going on. These Hamites know that we are the people of Israel, man. They know that. That's why they treat you with such contempt when they get to them. They know who you are. You just don't know who you are. Because our people are still practicing their customs in the Hamites' homeland to this very day. But you got it.
I was gonna remember yesterday that I think he was Ishmael. Remember, he came by camp. He was like, "Skip Israel, y'all the real Israelites."
Yeah, he said,
but yeah. So you can't make this up. Here it is. I forgot if it was. I think it was edifying a sister. I forget who was edifying.
I think that was that Tom?
It might have been Tom the Edomite, or it might have been that's the Sodomite. I can't remember, but it was a lot going on. But yeah, we was the brother was bringing it out, and just Ishmael just come out of nowhere. Just I'm Palestinian, and y'all the real Israelites. So I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, we'd have had 1,000 Ishmaelites come by us and tell us, we the real Jews. You had that one Ishmaelite that was walking with the brother, and we had asked her, hey, do you know that blacks the real Jews? And she said, yeah. Mm-hmm. We had asked her, did you tell your friend right there? Because the brother was a Jake. She was like, no, I didn't tell him. And we was just, tried to get the brother to come back, and he just kept walking. So everybody knows that we the real Israelites. It's not a secret. It's only a secret to us. Everybody else knows this, but that's why this word got to go out. Because Jake, you just lost in the sauce.
Jake is, what I'm saying? Jake is lost. You just said it. He said, did you tell him? She said, no, I ain't tell him. It's a secret.
That's off.
They learn about your history, and you know what they do after that? Shh, don't tell him. Because if you tell him, we go out of business. And you don't want grandma. You don't want your grandmother going back, to slavery over there and, going back to hard times in the old land. So when we come to America, shh, don't tell them. And guess what? They don't tell you, and they oppress you. But we got to tell you, and we're going to tell you. We're going to tell you that, guess what? We the Israelites, and we still scattered into these various nations, man. Right? Let me go back to this real quick. So we learned about the Lemba people, right? That's the Lemba people. And going back into this, I'm gonna kind of touch on this book a little bit real quick. Right? Did you have anything on Carthage?
Nah.
Okay. I thought you did, because I had some heat on that too, just in case you did.
Yeah, not right.
Kind. Let's talk about Ghana a little bit. Right? Ghana. So into this book, Hebrews of West Africa, I forget what page that. I think that's page 208. Right, but when the development of Ghana and a lot of the societies in Western Africa was started by our people, man. Right, especially Ghana. Right, and it says This is how the origin of Ghana, happened, right? And it says they were joined shortly afterwards by another group of Jews was from Cyrenaica. So if you don't, Cyrenaica or Cyrenaica is Libya, right? It's Libya. That's northern Africa, because you had Jews in northern Africa. It says who had migrated by the way of Tripoli to what? In south of Morocco. You also had Jews in Morocco during the Dark Ages. It is the group of Israelite shepherds who came to enjoy a dominant role in the formation and development of the empire of Ghana. So you had Jews, our people in Libya, and Jews in Morocco that traveled west and started the empire of Ghana around 880 BC or so. Right around 880 BC or so, right? So you had a lot of the Jews in Ghana that started Ghana, man. The word Ghana means war chief, right? Let me pull this up real quick. See if this is it. Hold on. Things were loaded, man. All right, here we go. Let me pull this up real quick. All right. So when you go to Ghana, when we're talking about Ghana, all right, here we go. It's the book of Babylon and Timbuktu, right, by Rudolph R. Windsor. And brothers know this book, right? We bring this out on the highways and byways, man. It's usually brothers' first book, after, what I'm saying, when they brothers diving into the history or the Bible Compact definition. But this is essential to have.
Starter
pack. You know what I'm saying? It's the stuff you kind of, when you advance in this thing, it's usually the first book you get.
All right.
Everybody, you know what I'm saying, bringing this out, but let's get into it a little bit. All right. Oh, we're gonna touch on that too. All right, here it go. So when you read down here, let me see if I can zoom in.
Oh, can't press the plus button.
I was doing that, but let me see. Yeah, it's not going. Hold on. Let me see if I can open it. It's all good. But if you can see this, it says in the Israelite Ghanaian states were found kings. Right? Hold on. Let me start right here. We're gonna get into Mansa and Musa too. Right? It says the Israelites had an advantage over the Hamites, and they carried their culture, history, laws, and written records with them, right? So when we went from Libya and Morocco all the way to Ghana, we already carried all of our stuff with us. Development of a higher social organization because of the stability of the Israelite culture, the Jews were not absorbed into autochthonous population, meaning we didn't assimilate into the Hamite culture. We were already a group with our community and influence, right? It's like Moab traveling to the hood. They're not going to become Jake. They're going to still carry their customs with them, and that's how we were, right? And it says, in fact, the Israelites absorbed some of the native tribes. The Jews made use of every opportunity. They're industrious and skillful people, right? So what? In the Israelite Ghanaian states were found kings, right? Princes, governors, generals, secretaries, treasurers, revenue agents, yeah, IRS agents, meaning we had a government. We established a government. And within a government, we had judges, we had architects, we had engineers, we had doctors, we had historians. Remember, because we carried our written laws with us. We had language interpreters. You had Jews that spoke multiple languages. Look, Louis de Torres that went with Christopher Columbus in 1492. He spoke like damn 4 languages. Greek, Latin, Spanish, and Hebrew. Right? And it says mathematicians, jewelers, right? Sculptors, masons, carpenters, painters of art, goldsmiths, leather workers, potters, armorers, saddlers, blacksmiths, agriculturists, and etc. The Israelite Hebrew kings of Ghana had 2 titles. Kayamaga, master of gold, in Ghana means war chief. And we know our God is the God of war. And it says, Professor Godby says that 22 Hebrew kings reigned in Ghana before the Hijra, right before, the Islamic expansion happened. And 44 had reigned by 790. You see that? So before Muhammad started his campaign, you had 22 Hebrew kings of Ghana. Then afterwards, you had 44 before a lot of them started converting to Islam, man. You know, see, let me get this map real quick. There you got it. Here, though, right here. You see that? You see that? Yeah, Cameroon. Right? Cameroon's right there. Nigeria is right here, right? The sisters from the Yoruba tribe. You know, you had Benin, you had Niger, you had Mali. That's where Mansa Musa was, right? You had a lot of Jews. Mansa Musa was a damn Jew that rose to power and converted to Islam. This is the region where our people were. Guinea, Senegal, the Gold Coast, Sierra Leone, Liberia. You see that? Cote d'Ivoire. So you can't deny that. You cannot deny that, man. So if anybody says they're from Ghana, they're an Israelite. And I mean, they're an Israelite. Hold on, let me get one more king. I'm gonna pass it. Let me get this and bring this out. Here we go, right here. It is not surprising then to find an official guide to the Cameroon stating the Fulis are established in central and northern Cameroon. So you had Jews in Cameroon. So when we talk about Cameroon, I had a teammate, you know, in college, he was Cameroonian, and I didn't know if he was an Israelite. He kept asking, "Am I an Israelite? I like your fringes. Am I an Israelite?" And I was like, "Damn, I got to get into this history, man." And it turns out the brother's an Israelite, man. Larry, if you're watching this, you're an Israelite. You got it.
Yeah. Khan is right. Now, as the brother going through the history, you know, you see our people in these diverse areas. You know, before our people got over there, as we know, we was in the land of Israel. So I want to get this quick precept and Luke chapter 21. I want to go to Luke 21, and then I'm gonna touch on 70 AD a little bit through the spirit, just to show why our people migrated this much to the lands. So this is Luke 21 and verse number. We get right to the point. The destruction of the temple. Luke 21 and verse. Let's start at verse 17. Luke 21 and verse 17, and it reads, "Ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but there shall not an hair of your head perish, and your patience possess your souls." Verse 20, and when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies. Now this is Yahweh Shah talking. So he's talking to the 12 apostles, and he's letting them know that the temple that they see now that looks beautiful and that's all decked out with the golds and you know, with the fine jewels, that temple is gonna come a time where it's gonna be laid waste. So this is the Lord prophesying about a certain event, and I'm gonna ask the chat, what event is the Lord prophesying about in the book of Luke, the 20th chapter, 21st chapter? I mean,
which one is it, and what year?
Yeah, what year
or years?
And why they waiting to put that in, I'm gonna read it again. Luke 21 and verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh. It says, then let them, this is the point right here too, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. So Yahweh Shah is prophesying about a certain event that's gonna come to pass. What event? Brother Don Israel got it, 70 AD. All right, Shawab, all praise to the Most High. Brothers and sisters getting in there. So it's 70 AD. Now, verse 21 is the main point as well. It says, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst depart out, and let not and let not of them that are in the countries enter thereunto. So you can go to the first article I got touching on 70 AD. And again, a brother he went over, you know, Israel being in this part of Africa, that part of Africa. He brought out the date of 605 BC, Battle of Carchemish, and, you know, Northern Kingdom fleeing, 586, where we fled from the Babylonians. But one of the biggest exiles that we actually had as a nation was the cause of 70 AD, the destruction of what they say, the Jewish temple. Yeah, this one right here. So this is milk, this is bread. This is bread history that you should get acquainted of why we even fled Jerusalem. So it says the siege of Jerusalem, 70 CE, was the decisive event of the first Roman Jewish wars from 66 to 73 CE, in which the Roman army, led by Emperor Titus, besieged Jerusalem, the center of the Jewish rebel resistance in the Roman province of Judea. Following the 5-month siege, the Romans destroyed the city, including the Second Temple. So we go into the history of this event. This is known as one of the worst sieges that ever took place in all of humanity. Now I want you to go to the book that I had pulled up. The link that's right under the 70 yeah, that one right there. So you got a book called The History, right? The History of the Jews from the War with Rome. Now I want you to jump down to Salakia. I want you to jump down to page, I believe it's 36. All right, page 36. So when you go into this book, and it's a very edifying book. It goes into the history after 70 AD. But when you touch on the first chapter, it actually touches on the whole first chapter, goes in depthly about the wars and how it took place, the war tactics and things of that nature. So I'm gonna start at the second paragraph where it says another assault. You can let me see, zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, see, this one allows me to.
Yeah, cause I have to find this one. And this book is not a lot, probably about $20-$30 max. So this is a good book to to get your hands on. It's written by Henry Cadwallader Adams, and as you see, it's published around 1887. So when you get these old books, it's a lot of good history that's in them. Because around this time, Jake, they wouldn't let you read these. These was in the white libraries during segregation. These was in the white eyes only libraries. But now, Negroes is reading. So now we can get our hands on these books, tangibility. Now we can go through it and learn the things that they hid up from us. Because again, back then, you wasn't able to buy this. You was in a black only Al Ring, Dr. Seuss, and Hello Kitty books. That's all they gave you. Hello Kitty, Dr. Seuss, and whatever madness that they wanted to feed you. While in their section, they had all your history, just reading it and learning how to destroy you. Nevertheless, all right, I'm going to read this part at the top. Another assault. This page 36, chapter 1. It says, another assault was now ordered, and a close and murderous strife, which raged for 8 hours, ensued without material gain to either party. Talking about the party of the Romans and the party of the Jews, when they was going forth to battle. It says, it was the 10th of August, the anniversary always dreaded by the Jews of the destruction of Solomon's temple. Both parties seem to have entertained the idea that the day will prove fatal to the Second Temple, as it had to the first, but apparently had proved fallacious, right? Meaning false. So they had an idea where August 10th, that's the same day that Solomon's temple fell by the Babylonians. So every time that day came, it was like a day of mourning. So the Romans, they thought the Romans would have attacked them on this day as well, and it would have turned out the same, but the ideology was false, as it said. It said the Romans had retired, and the guard for the night had been sent, when suddenly a cry was raised that the temple was on fire, talking about 70 AD. It says some of the Jews had again provoked a skirmish. The Romans had not only driven them back, but had forced their way into the innermost court, and one of them had hurled a firebrand into the sanctuary itself, which had instantly caught fire. This was contrary to the express order of Titus. So Titus Vespasian, part of the Flavian dynasty, the Roman emperor, he didn't call that to happen. And again, this whole chapter, first chapter is fire going in depthly, but this is talking about the wrapping up or the ending of the war. It says, and he instantly hurried down, accompanied by his officers, to extinguish the flames. The courts were full of armed men engaged to desperate strife, and his commands were unheard or unheeded. The devouring fire, right, raved rounds, right? It's like it raved around the safety pillars and surged within the cedar roofs. Before the resistance, a few survivors had ceased. It says the temple was one vast pagoda of warring flames. And it's the point. All right, when the morning, it says, when the morning dawned, the holy house, which is the temple, and the chosen nation, talking about the Jews, had passed away forever. So after 70 AD, certain people say that the Jews, that holy nation, it says they passed away forever, meaning you didn't hear of them again after 70 AD. Now this book, it goes into where the Jews fled to, goes into the different Roman emperors, but again, the bulk of us after 70 AD, it says passed away forever. Now, obviously, Israel didn't pass away forever. I want to get a quick precept, man. Ecclesiastes 12, I believe that's verse 14. All right, Ecclesiastes 12 and verse number 14. It says,
Iraq or Ecclesiastes?
Let me see. It's like that's not what I want. I was looking for Slack, yeah. You can drop that. I was looking for another precept. Nevertheless, Israel did not pass away forever. All right, obviously, again, we're going into the history of brothers scattered and being sent to the west coast of Africa and throughout all of Africa. Now, you can pull up that map, that Gobi map. And we brought out that one book. It touched on Gobi.
This?
Yeah. It touched on Gobi. Press. Yeah, that's good right there. You can try to zoom in.
I think I got that same map. Hold on, right here.
Okay, fine. You can zoom in, or I don't want it to be blurry or nothing.
Yeah. Let's get it.
Okay, Kanye, that's good right there. Now, this map right here is a map of, like how the brother brought out earlier, the Hebrewisms of West Africa. The brother brought out a man by the name as Professor Gobi. Now, he was a scholar. And he studied the paths and the journeys of the Jews all throughout the four corners of the earth. And he has a map of West Africa as well, or Africa in general, predominantly going into the different places where we were scattered as a people. And I want you to scroll down. I really just want you to go out the whole map and get a good visual. So when we go into these places, you see where Israel was actually scattered in. As you see, you got West Africa, you got the Yoruba, the Ephraimites. All right, you got East Africa, you got the Abyssinians, how the brother brought out, got the Nubians, right? Jews in Arabia, things of that nature. All throughout the land of Ham.
The Berber Jews of North Africa. Yep.
The Berbers, that was by Morocco and Algeria.
Yep.
So this is not a secret. Everybody knows this. So I wanted to get this quick visual of this map. You can go back to the article.
Yeah, where's that?
Just to show a couple other maps.
Oh, right here?
Not an article.
There you go.
Not the one that I just had you. Yeah, that one right there. Press previous image.
Previous image.
Yeah. Now you can kind of zoom in. So this is more history going into certain tribes and certain regions within Africa. All right, Cyrene, and all these are documented. All right, at the top it says the true Israelites were scattered in all directions. That's according to the prophecy, Deuteronomy 28, verse 25. Right, Isaiah the 11th chapter, verse 11, Deuteronomy 28, 64. All throughout the Bible. It says the Israelites were scattered in all directions. The slaves that were brought to America are descendants of those Israelites that were dispersed into Africa many, many years ago, about 2,500 years ago. So when we coming out on the highways and byways, and we say we the Israelites, you got coon Negro Christians, you got Edomites that just want to, show their horns and be devils and say we not the Israelites. Well, what about all these sources? Because let's say there was no quote unquote Hebrew Israelite movement. What about all these sources that was being brought up before this thing even blew? I don't see nobody scoffing the sources. I don't see nobody scoffing the history. When it comes to us, though, they scoff. When it comes to the sites and the proof that's in the pudding, that's in your face, verbatim, it says the slaves that were brought to America are descendants of those Israelites who were dispersed into Africa many, many years ago, about 2,500 years ago. So let's go into these names. You got Cyrene, right, 125 CE. The Israelites attempted to establish a Hebrew African empire. All right, Roman suppression. We just read about the Romans and how we fled from Roman persecution. It says forces further Israelites' migration into Africa. I mean, you can't make this up. And you got from 1 all the way down to 13. All right, you got Uganda, you got Ethiopia, you got Libya. All right, you got brother brought out Ghana in 11. What does it say about Ghana? 300 CE. Hebrew dynasty established by Zael Yamini lasted about 1,000 years, finally known as the Sankey Empire. All right, let's touch on what else? Ethiopia, the brother brought out the Abyssinians. All right, the Abyssinians go back to, the region of Ethiopia. It says Menelik, son of Solomon, and Queen of Sheba. Well, that's speculation, right? Established an Israelite dynasty that lasted almost 3,000 years, right? So, you had Israelites over there. Now, was he from the direct lineage of Solomon? We don't know.
Right.
That part is speculation. All right, you got Libya. Israelite Queen Dinah Khania organizes an army to defend against the Roman and Arab, right, incursions into North Africa. And you know about Muhammad. Muhammad conquered all of North Africa. All right, from Morocco to Algeria to Tanzania, all the way to Egypt. You got a point.
Yeah, I got a point too on that too about Libya, because we talk about the Battle of Carthage. The Battle of Carthage was this. You didn't want Romans. They didn't want Romans in different Ishmaelite tribes coming into North Africa. That's why you had a man named Hannibal, who's a Carthaginian, right? But I want to kind of get the language that was spoken over there real quick to show you that was Hebrew. They were speaking Hebrew over there, right? Let me see. That's good. That's a good one too. Hold on. Let me touch on this just real quick. You know what I'm saying? Because it kind of lines up to what you were saying. Here it go. And it says, let me see. Origin in him break in civilization, and if instead of succumbing in the city of Hannibal and triumph over Rome, it is probable, nay, almost certain that Hebrew and not Latin would have become the dominant language of the Mediterranean countries. And all this, of course, is the extreme view of an enthusiast, still is not entirely without foundation. And then when you go into it, it tells you that, yeah, Hebrew was spoken in Libya more than damn Latin, man. They didn't want Edomite influence coming into Libya. But you got it.
That's right. You can press previous and you can stay on that article and then go to previous image again. All right. So this is another image. What does that say? It says North Africa, like how we were just touching on. North Africa and the Israelite migrations. Now let's say Amalek, all right, the white, use my words, right? The so-called Israeli that's in the land right now. If they're the real people of God and this happened to them and they scattered throughout Africa, then how come we don't see old pictures and writings of no melanin devils in the land? I mean, the whole point of us fleeing to Africa was what? To flee from Roman persecution. All right, what did Christ do when he was being persecuted as a child? He fled into Egypt. Why? Because we had colonies over there already in Egypt. On top of that, the Israelites and the Hamites have similar features on the carnal level. You know, we kind of blended in with them to an extent. So that's really why we fled predominantly into the land of Ham. One, because it's closer to, you know, the phenotypes is not too far off. No, it is far. We don't look like Hamites, but you know, both got, you know, the dark skin and the woolly hair and things of that nature. So we fled through a lot. Where's the picture? Where's the sources of the Amalekite man, the Israeli man, fleeing to the west coast of Africa, fleeing to North Africa, fleeing from persecution? Because if he was the real Israel, he should have fled to damn he should have fled to the damn Caucasus Mountains, right, with the Khazars. But no, they're fleeing, obviously, as we see all across Africa. And there it goes again, when you see the west coast at the bottom, you see Ashanti and you see Yoruba. Now we're gonna touch on Ashanti and Yoruba. We can touch back on that map. Now keep those locations in mind as well. Right. That Ashanti and Yoruba, you see where it's set on the map, keep those locations in mind. You can press previous image again, because we're gonna touch on those tribes too. Look at that, Negro land. All right, but they don't bring this out in school. Right, Negro land. You can press it again. These are just images and visuals showing you know, where we were. All right, what does this say? It says 500 BC, Bantu people seek more land to farm as their popular growth. We go into the Bantus. The Bantus are Israelites. They had what you call, quote unquote, Jewish customs. All right. And as you see, they even migrated. They was actually kind of further up on the western part of so-called Africa, and they even migrated further south and had different so-called colonies as well. All right, you can press it again. So all these are just good images for you to, you know, look over. Show that we're not making this up. We're not just, you know, throwing something together last minute, editing articles ourselves and giving it out. No, these things are, this information has been out already. Now you can go to the next article I have put up. I believe it's called Ashanti, Igbo, or Hebrew, something to that effect.
Yeah.
I think it's the first one. It's like, no, it's the second one. It's the second one. That's another book I had pulled up. Yeah, right there. So this is another website, right? The Ashanti of Ghana, the Ashanti people. Now we just showed on the map where Ashanti was and where Yoruba was. So this is the Ashanti, and believe it or not, the Ashanti, you know, it's a lot of scholars say, when you know, do the history, Ashanti actually goes back to the Levites. Now we've seen where they were on the map, right?
They also Jamaicans too.
You said what?
Also Benjamin, Jamaicans too.
Oh yeah, Khan, yep. So touching on this, it says the Ashanti, the predominant tribe in Ghana. The brother brought out Ghana. Ghana going back to war chief and how the Most High is a man of war. It says Ghana, formerly known as the Gold Coast, is predominantly believed to have come from North Africa. All right, same as with the Bantu people. They kind of started up in Northern Africa or East Africa at the north, because that's where Israel first migrated to, since it's closer. Then we began to migrate south, going down the west coast, going down the east coast, and, you know, spreading ourselves abroad. It says it's predominantly believed to have come from North Africa, and many fingers point to Egypt or Assyria. Now I want to get this quick precept before I read on in Isaiah 11 and verse 11. Right, touching on Egypt and Assyria. It's not a coincidence that, you know, they said that, but it's Isaiah chapter 11 and verse number 11. It says, and it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time, talking about when the Lord comes back, future prophecy. It's going to set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, the Israelites, which shall be left from Assyria and from Egypt. You can't make this up. From Assyria and from Egypt, right? It says, and from Pathros, and from Cush, right, which is Ethiopia, and from Elam, India, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. So you can't make this up. All right, this is not some again. It's not some we just we made our own articles and we brought this out. All right, you can go back to the article real quick. We'll finish that article out real quick.
This one?
Yeah. It says, reading on. It says it has been pointed out by the first white man that came to Ghana, right, and met the Ashanti, noted that Egyptian-like artifact, architecture and design met Slakia. Lost my point. It says architecture and design, but just as equally, some of these so-called Egyptians or Assyrian traits could also point to Hebraic origins, right? And why did they have some Egyptian traits? Because that's what we were before we kind of came to that coast, as we'll show on the map as well when we go back to it. It says, for Israel was captive in both places, on the left, on Slakia, I can't really read that.
Where?
You can zoom in right under Hebraic origin. And I think that's inevitable, right? Inevitable mark on both, as well as little Egyptian and Assyrian influence rubbed off somewhat on Israel. That's better, the water. It says also noted by such men was the Semitic or Arabic appearance, right? Facial features of the Ashanti, as well as the reddish hue to their brown skin, right? Talking about their phenotype, their skin complexion. It says, which is also an Igbo trait, because they're the same people, which is akin to Adam, whose name means red, earth, and David, who was said to have ruddy reddish complexion on both, which were a dark complexion to boot. All right, and some Christians will try to say reddish, that means David was an Edomite because he was red, he was ruddy. When clearly reddish is a trait to have on dark-skinned people. It's more so like like when Eve put that makeup on. Right? It says, I've already established in my earlier works regarding to the Igbo, which I've linked to Gad. So he said the Igbo go back to Gad, that's part of the 10 tribes. Some people said I go back to Judah. Nevertheless, it's both Israel at the end of the day. It says, and other Israeli tribes, that the first Hebrews and Jews were of dark and reddish, meaning ruddy complexion. So you can't make this up. I mean, this is what the scholars are saying. The scholars are coming out and saying that we are the real Jews. We are the real, people of the book. All right, it says some believe and has voiced that the Ashanti may be related to the Yoruba, right? That the Ashanti may be related to the Yoruba. Now, a carnal man, the man that's not studied, will say, well, if they're in Africa, everybody's related, right? All Africans are the same. That's a common thing that the Western side of this world thinks. You ask a brother where you're from, where's the homeland, where's the so-called motherland, he'll say Africa. You tell the brother what's over 50 countries in Africa, which one you come from, he don't know. So even within Africa, it's a big division. Every African so-called is not the same nationality. All right, yeah, they come from him, but they're not the same people. The same way how Israelites and Edomites, Moabites, Ammonites, the same way how we come from Shem, we're not the same people, even though we all come from Shem. The Most High divided us up. Same thing how it is with Ham. You come from Ham, that don't mean every Hamite is the exact same race. Nevertheless, when it came to the Ashanti and to the Yoruba, it said they had a lot of relations. Why did they have a lot of relations? Because they go back to the same people. All right, again, the Yoruba, that's Ephraim, right? That's the Ephraimites that left around 605, and Ashanti. All right, Ashanti goes back to the Levites, or like the brothers said as well, the Benjamites that left around 70 BC and during the times where Rome persecuted the Jews. So I'm gonna read that top part again. And we're gonna go into that history as well. It says some believe and has voiced that the Ashanti may be related to the Yoruba, and if so, no wonder they have things in common with the Igbo, because the father of the Yoruba people was a traveling companion to Erie. All right, the father of the Igbo people, both the Igbo and the Ashanti, holy men cover themselves in white chalk. When you go into the history, I got the book. It's not next to me now, but we go into the history, the Yoruba king kind of helped establish the Igbo Empire, and the Igbo. Are we going to the kingdom of Benin and things of that nature? Are the king of Yoruba, which again is northern kingdom? They came here before southern kingdom. He helped establish and set up kingdomship in the Benin Empire. Helped build them up through the spirit. We go into the history, so that even shows the connection that these two tribes had. Why do they have a lot of connections? Because they are the same people. It says African tribal names, right at the next paragraph. It says African tribal names usually mean the people of. The name the Ashanti may come from the Hebrew word Ashan. Now, keep this in mind. It says the name of the Ashanti may come from the Hebrew word Ashan, meaning smoke. Usually, it's like it, which is usually used in the context of the destruction of a city and make hints to the destruction of Israel by Babylon and Assyria exiles, or even the Roman ransacking of Israel. We just went over that. All right, it's documented. And then we seen the maps where they fled to. We seen where Yahweh Shah said they were to, right? To the mountains. What is the mountains? The other nations, the countries. The closest country and the most fertile being the land of Ham. All right. It says, there was indeed a town in Judea called Ashan. So what does Ashanti come from? From the Hebrew word Ashan, which you read about in the Bible. First Chronicles 6 and verse 59. I want to get that precept real quick. At First Chronicles 6 and verse 59.
When you finish at the end of that paragraph, I got a point too.
Okay, Con. Now this is why we say Ashan goes back to Levi. On one fold, the Ashan, they have when the French conquered Africa, they came and they brought Levi, the Ashan people, right? They brought the Ashan people to Hispaniola, right? To Saint Domingue or Santos Domingos, if I'm pronouncing it right. They brought them to the so-called western side of Island Hispaniola, the Ashan people. And as we know, the Ashan people over there that's in that land practice voodoo a lot, which Levi, they practiced that, them being a priest of the Lord. Nevertheless, this First Chronicles 6, verse 59, it's tied all around. It says, in Ashan, what they actually started verse 55 to show in context what it's talking about. That is going into the sons of Aaron. All right, First Chronicles 6 and verse 57, right? 57. It says, the sons of Aaron, they gave the cities of Judah, namely Hebron, the city of refuge, and Lebna with their suburbs, and Jatir and Eshtemoa with their suburbs, and Helene with their suburbs, and Debir with her suburbs, and Ashan, right? And Ashan with her suburbs, right? And Beth Shemesh with her suburbs. And whose suburbs are those? Those are the suburbs of the Levites. One of the suburbs are Ashan. You go back to the Ashanti people, it said it plain upon tables. Go back to the article, it said it plain upon tables. Right. Where is that at? Right. It says there was indeed a town in Judea called Ashan. And where's Judea? That's around Judah. So you can't make this up. Corresponding to Joshua 21 and 6. All right, well, the word ayin, according to the Jewish Encyclopedia, may be corruption or a variant of Ashan. If this all be true, it would mean that the Ashanti may possibly predominantly be Jews, Judah, which is, really Levi, right? Levites, Simeonites, and like the brother said, and Benjamites. So you can't, it's all in the pudding. So we go out on the highways and byways, we make these videos, we say we the Jews, and people want to scoff. Well, let's say you took us off the highways and byways and we start making videos. What about the information that's already out, that's been out, that scholars wrote up? And Jake, he not going to believe a Negro. Esau, he not going to believe a Negro. So we got to pull up these Edomite websites so Esau can validate the proof for you. Because you let a so-called black man tell you, or so-called Hispanic tell you, it's just going one ear and out the other. So now we got to have your slave master tell you, got to present it to you so you can have some quote-unquote validation. Now this whole article is really fire. Going into, deeper on the Igbo and the Hebraic customs and things of that nature, and the ceremonial laws and things of that nature. But you know, time will you can actually scroll down a little bit. I'm not this whole thing, but this whole thing got a lot of good information. You got it. If I keep reading, I'm gonna just probably do
We can get right back into it. I just want to touch on a quick point. I mean, it's the evidences. I mean, when we say, Jake, we got your history right here for free that you've never learned of before, and they don't want to hear it, or they you know, people look at you as a cult in this, or I left the Hebrew Israelites. You can't leave yourself. What are you talking about? Oh my gosh! But look at this. Oh my gosh! I left the Hebrew Israelites. I'm Black American. That's wild. That's you're really sick.
I'm a slave's name again.
Yeah, you're really sick. But let me pull this up real quick. Right, just going into proving Benjamites or so-called Jamaicans, stem from the Ashanti tribe. Right, this is Hebrews in West Africa, page 22. Right, a little bit earlier in the same book. It says Brian Edwards is the brief outline of. Don't mind my fingers, man. Right, Jake. Right, the Coromantans slaves asserts they believe the Kumpung, the God of the heaven, is the creator of all things, a deity of infinite goodness. In fact, we have in Jamaica today the parish of Saint Kundo, the island historian, right, was so called after an Ashanti chief, right? So that town is after an Ashanti chief who figured in one of the early rebellions of the islands, man. You see that? So a lot of the Jamaican history goes back to the Ashanti specifically, right? And it says, let me jump down here. It says the Jamaican Anansi stories have been passed along in living tradition by the old nanas or Creole nurses, right? Who correspond in many respects to the Mamites of the southern states. The word nana is itself pure Ashanti. It means granny, right? Nana. Right, we can go to Jamaica. They say that, right? Thus, Nana Barima, a maternal grandparent, Oba Nana, a grandchild. Today, the term Nana has almost disappeared from common use in Jamaica. In the place, granny is generally heard in reference to the type formerly called nanas, right? And as Nana was generically applicable to either grandparent or grandchild. So even now, granny is used in the same way. An elderly person speak of any of their offspring beyond their immediate children by the general term him, me, granny. So this is an Ashanti language and patois. Ashanti language and patois is kind of similar. When you go over there to Ghana, it's like a very big connection between them and Jamaicans because they all go back to the Ashanti tribe. And like you said, Levites, Simeonites as well, some Ephraimites. All right, but you got it. I just wanted to touch on that point.
Yeah, kind. The reason why I say those tribes as well. And to answer that brother question, so Mary Jake, we're gonna put a map back up and then the side will be at the top so you can get that map. But the reason why I listed those tribes, Judah, and that's how you know Jews, that term Jew goes back to Judah. Again, scoffers they'll say, well, prove that the Jews are Judah. It says it right there. All right.
Hold on, just kind of show this real quick, man. Enough love from the brother from HOI. All praise to the Most High.
Shout out HOI, man. All right. But the reason why it says Judah, Levites, Simeonites, and Benjamites, we look at the map of Israel and our homeland back then, those are known as the southern tribes. Levi, he had his suburbs, but Levi eventually migrated all into Judah. You had Simeon, their landmass and their lot was in the middle of Judah, and you had Benjamin that was right on top of Judah. And the rest of the tribes, the other 10 tribes, they kind of, did their own thing, earlier.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I'm going to get to the evidence. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I got another article or another, book.
Hey,
but it's
got a lot more heat. We got a lot more heat.
It says, I'm gonna pass it off to you after this. It says briefly, few striking Hebraic traits that are attributed to the Ashanti are morning baths in the river. Man, that's a vibe, right? Morning baths in the river, which is much like mikvah's ritual bath cleansing by the Jews. And it's a lot to go into. You get this book right here too. All right, get this book right here. All right, it's a book. Now this is a brother, Elode Ekuana. He goes into he was from the Igbo tribe, and he goes into certain customs that the Israelites had, and how his customs, he felt like he was a Jew because from all the customs that linked up with the Jews. He didn't know he was a Jew, but he said he felt like he was one because of all the customs that he kept before he got taken into slavery. So this is a good book to get to. Most likely we're gonna touch on this eventually, sometime in the future. Nevertheless, their cleansing and their bath rituals are the Ashantis that go back to the Jews. It says their sanctions laws closely mirror that that of what is written in the Torah. They were originally a pastoral people until they were forced to move to the bush, which is similar to what happened to the Igbos. Again, the brother that I just showed the book, he was an Igbo. It says the selling of prisoners of war as slaves or the enslavement of their fellow men in order to pay off debts. I should have brought this book out too. It says the same thing in here. He was an Igbo. He's saying the same exact thing that's written in here. And he will tell you as well that he felt like he was a Jew, which obviously he was, but he didn't know that at the time. It says pay off debts as it was found in the Torah, the first 5 books of Moses. Also, one dies, the place in which a person has experienced is cleansed and locked up for 9 days, which is like how Leviticus, the 14th chapter, a room is shut up for 7 days. It says they never fought on Saturday. Sabbath. Saturday, Sabbath.
Not Thursday.
Yeah, not Thursday, not Wednesday. It says Saturday, Sabbath. It says they started their own calendar and like the fall, like Jews and Hebrews, right? So you can't make this up. It says the Ashanti society is a patriarchal one. There is a stool authority, which uncannily similar to that, which is called the synagogues, right, as the seat of Moses and the chair of Elijah, going into the prophets and the law. Elijah represents the prophets, Moses represents the law. The Lord said that when you read the Gospels, all right, when he had that transfiguration, you seen Elijah, you seen Moses, all right? So it's the same thing. They kept the same customs. They practice tribal marriages. Numbers 36, the Lord said that in Tobit, the 4th chapter, verse 12 on down. We're doing a lot of paraphrasing because, we got so much time. Nevertheless, the verse that we are paraphrasing, write those down, go back to them. Do your thing. The verses that's written up in the articles, what I'm saying? Do your diligent research, like how we brought up in the beginning. It says this is a very Hebraic trait, for we see the patriarchs and matriarchs of Scripture struggled with fertility, and the patriarchs often pleaded to God for sons. So in Israel, the preservation and what does that say?
The preservation of the family.
Yeah, the preservation of the family line was very important to them, as it was with the Ashanti. The whole process of the rituals and customs surrounding marriages is much like how Isaac married Rebecca in Genesis, the 24th chapter, verse 64. Meaning sex is marriage. In a nutshell, sex consummates the marriage. It says it so much as we even find post-temple tradition. A cup of wine is given to the contracting fam. Let me read that again. Wine is given to the contracting family. Huh?
The contracting.
That's like a contracting, right? Familiar parties. And the drain cup is then smashed under the feet of the broom. And that's something that they practiced in slavery. They would throw the broom down and dance around them when you got married. It says this seems to indicate that if the Ashanti are indeed Israelites, they come from the post-Second Temple era, 70 AD. All right, where the Second Temple was destroyed. And the Babylonian and Assyrian exile. All right, 586, 605 BC, and Assyrian exile, 722 BC. It says an Ashanti mother is separated and and considered unclean 8 days after childbirth. Right, that's Leviticus the 12th chapter, verse 1 on down. All right, after childbirth, and it's like it, and it is on the 8th day that the child is thus named. So you got Leviticus 15 and 19 on down, dealing with the uncleanness and things of that nature. It says, all as we see are Hebraic customs and laws. So Joseph J. Williams, SD, all right, PhD, that's a long title. All right, lit the author of Hebrewisms of West Africa. I believe you just brought that out as well.
Yep.
All right, that's that book right there. Our cities, many more evidence, but much as inserting piece on how the Ashanti language is very similar to the Hebrew, and even how the name of their chief deity is a corrupt variant of Hebrew Yahweh. Page 56 to 60, 74 through 76. It says this book is Slakia. Get this off my screen. It says his book is definitely worthy of a read, right, for more extensive information of the Ashanti. And Ashanti hurdle wears a monkey skin cap, which is our resemblance of a Jewish yarmulke or yapa skull cap. So it's a lot of history right there. I know you got some too, so
yeah, man. Like I said, Hebrews in West Africa is a mighty book when you want to go into the Ashanti, especially like in the early chapters or early pages, dives deep into the Ashanti, right? And then kind of goes into North and West and East Africa, Muslim expansion and all of that, right? But this is undeniable evidence, man. You can't. Let me get a few precepts. We got to get a few precepts.
Yeah, we got to
get some precepts. All right, it's 2 Corinthians chapter 13. All right, it's 2 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 8. For we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. I mean, you can't do nothing against this. You can't fight against this evidence that Yahweh Shem Yahushua sprung forth on the earth, man. We say we're in an information age of technology, man. You can just look this stuff up. You don't got to go all our elders from One West. Shout out to our elders from One West. Shout out, W5 Little Rock as well. Shout out family. Right, but our elders, they had to walk to the library. I'm talking about encyclopedias. You know what I'm saying? Like this. Just licking fingers all day, flipping pages. We can go on the internet and find this information out. So the Lord has made this information accessible. So you can't do anything against this. You got Christian apologetics. You got different so-called Edomite scholars trying to deny debunk the so-called Hebrew Israel. You can't debunk this, because this is the truth. Let me go to John chapter 8. All right, let me go to John chapter 8. Right, and 32. Right, and it says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And this is going to make you free, man. This is going to open up your mind to the lies that's been perpetuated in this world for so long. In this empire for so long. Think about it. They start your history at 1619. How disrespectful are they? When before 1619, 1,000 years of rulership, are people moving all over the known earth doing trade and commerce with different nations from Spain all the way to India? Hey, this book goes into how there's Jews in India, man. There's Jews in China.
Yes, it's like, and we're gonna remember the different slave routes too, and slave trades. We're gonna touch on that later. Most I will.
Yeah, who are you to start my history at 1619? You started Northern Kingdom history around 1500s, around 1490. We're gonna touch on that date, 1492 too. 1492, with Christopher Columbus and the expedition. We're gonna touch on that. And what happened in 1491? What happened in 1490? Where was our people at? That's disrespectful. They give you Rosa Parks and Harriet Tubman. And Harriet Tubman knew she was a Jew. They give you Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Maybe Malcolm X. Maybe.
Nah, they don't even give you Malcolm X no more. I didn't even learn about him until I came into the truth. I didn't know who that was.
And he was in Islam. They don't even want to give you Malcolm X. So they try so hard to suppress your history, but the Lord got this history coming out like a spring forth of water. But there's going to come a time where this information is drying up. That's why you got to get it now. You got to get it now, hot and ready. We got it for you right now. If you don't want to study, you don't want to get into this history, you don't want to read, you just want to be on Instagram all day. Okay, well, there's gonna come a time where you're gonna want to hear this truth, man. There's gonna come a time where you want to get this history, and you're not gonna be able. Right? This is Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it, man. In that day shall their young fair virgins and young men faint for water, faint for thirst. Because these wells of living waters are not going to come out. The Lord's he's going to turn back that spring, man. That's why we have to go into the history now. And that's why we have to make sure that we get in this water that the Lord has given to us, man. We got to drink of this water, man. All right, so let me get into it real quick. So now we read about the Ashanti. Huh? You got precept?
Yeah, I just want quick precept. Romans 8:16, the classic.
Let me get this real quick. Romans 8:16.
Yeah. Romans chapter 8 and verse 16. It says, the Spirit itself bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And these tribes that we're going over, these are the children of the Most High. Don't be like, our fathers are old that only accepted, if you was a Jew, you kept the commandments, and if you didn't do that, then you wasn't considered an Israelite. No, be the brother that's willing to accept these people. Don't create tribalism. Was watching that yesterday. Don't create tribalism, and you say, okay, well, I'm a Jew that's in America. I'm better than those in West Africa. Nah, those are your brothers. Do what you can to feed them and get them the knowledge. You got camps in West Africa. You got camps all throughout the land of Ham, doing this work on a high level, shaking the hand. You got the certain tribes over there shaking the hand, getting on their own tribe. You get the man of Ashanti getting on the Yoruba, getting on our people that's in Egypt and the Nubians and things of that nature. So you got our people over there that's doing this work on a high level. Why? Because their spirit bears witness with our spirit, because we are all the children of the Most High. Right? You got it.
Yeah. You understand that we are the children of, and that's like it's the spirit that bears witness with the Lord's spirit. He's gathering our people together. Let me get this real quick in Isaiah 34:16, the class. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, and verse number 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read, and no one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth I have commanded, and his spirit. What did the Lord's spirit do? It have gathered them. The Lord is gathering our people from the four corners of the earth to raise our people up to know this knowledge. That's why it's so detrimental to Esau's system. Because now, if our people, like you said, rappers, artists, celebrities, they know we're the Jews. If our people really wake up to this knowledge all over the earth, Esau's system doesn't just crumble in America. It crumbles in Canada. It crumbles in Australia, Germany, Poland, damn Italy, Spain, China. A lot of these societies are going to crumble because we know who we are. But let me get into a few chapters here. Here we go. I'm going to get into this real quick. So this kind of touching back on the Jews in Libya, right? The same Jews that went with Jews in Northern Africa and Morocco to start Ghana, right? Where you have the Ashanti tribes and whatnot. And I wish I can zoom in, but I can't. But the point is, if you can see this, it says in the present chapter, page 221, then we have shown that the Jews certainly from a very early period found their way in ever increasing numbers among the southern shore of the Mediterranean, right? The southern shore of the Mediterranean going into Egypt, right? And they that exerted no small influence on the commercial world of North Africa. Our people was making money, man, doing trade. Our people was our society was flourishing in Northern Africa, man. Right. And then also as well in Western Africa as well. And also Southern Africa, because we were doing trade and commercial business. It's going to tell you, at first, perhaps in the employ the Phoenicians, right? The Phoenicians are Canaanites, because you had a lot of Canaanites that was in Northern Africa as well, in Western Africa. They soon asserted their independence and gradually superseded their former masters in the control of the commerce of many a trading post in central along the entire northern littoral of Africa and for some distance inland. So we dominated trade and commerce and business in northern Africa, specifically Libya, right? Morocco, right? Carthaginians were, you know, Hannibal, he fought that war with the Romans, man. And we brought out earlier how that during that time in Libya, the number one language was what? Was Hebrew, right? And it says, I think I went to the next page, 203, and it says where they had sought, I'm start right here, thousands of Jews expelled from Palestine in the 4th century BC and others driven in the 2nd century AD, right, from Cyrenaica, where they had sought refuge after the fall of Jerusalem, has swelled the number of the comparatively few descendants of those Israelites who have come to Africa as the Phoenicians' commercial agents. So those Canaanites that was in northern Africa, guess what? We became their commercial agents, man. Jake gonna get his hustle on, man. You think Jake is gonna get expelled? He's not gonna try to provide for himself and make something out of it. That's what Jake do. That's why we're still here to this very day. We come to America. We are slaves in America. You still got Jake that's billionaires right now. Although they may not know who they are, it's in their spirit to just go out there and get it. That's what Jake do. They hustle. Jake hustles. They still find some way to get it by any means possible. So guess what? When they got expelled, they say, you know what? Hey, we gonna be some commercial agents. Hey, we gonna be some commercial agents, man, for the Canaanites, right? But let me touch on this guy. Let me touch on him, right? Mansa Musa, the so-called richest man to ever live, man. No, it was King Solomon. We know that from what the Lord told us in 1st Chronicles, the 3rd chapter, man. 2nd Chronicles, the 3rd chapter. That the Lord, let me actually establish that before we get into this man. We go to 2nd Chronicles chapter 3. Actually, 2nd Chronicles 1, Slack it. It's 2nd Chronicles 1 and 9. Now, O Yahweh God, let thy promise unto David, my father, be established. For thou hast made me king, a people like the dust of the earth in multitude. Give me now wisdom and knowledge that I may go out and come in before this people. For who can judge this people that is so great? So King Solomon asked the Lord for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to judge the people of Israel. And let's see what the Lord gave him. Let's see what the Lord said too. Verse 11, and the Most High said to Solomon, because this was in thine heart, and thou hast not asked for riches, wealth, or honor, nor the life of thine enemies, neither yet has asked long life, but has asked wisdom and knowledge for thyself, that thou mayest judge my people over whom I made thee king. Wisdom and knowledge is granted unto thee, and I will give thee riches and wealth and honor, such as none of the kings have had that have been before thee, neither shall there any after have the like. So Mansa Musa came after King Solomon. Did the Lord lie? Did the Lord say, oops, Mansa Musa, okay, other than Mansa Musa, you're gonna have the most richest knowledge to ever live? No, Mansa Musa didn't attain unto King Solomon. And you can read more about King Solomon, his riches and his trading that he did in South and Eastern Africa, and Hebrews was in West Africa, right? But the point is, you're gonna see that they say that Mansa Musa, you know, had a lot of wealth and he was the richest person ever lived. It's not true. It's King Solomon. But let's get into this man. Right? Mansa Musa, right? A lot of Jakes heard of him, you know, right? Especially those that deal with Islam, right? Mansa Musa, Musa the first of Mali, was the ruler of the kingdom of Mali from 1312 CE to 1337 CE. So that's a little bit after the Empire of Ghana was established, right? And their Empire of Ghana is actually reigning during this time. But like the brother brought out Benin. Let me see if I got the map. Right, here's the kingdom of Mali. That's Abyssinia.
Oh, I meant to show that map for the brother too.
You said you meant to show that map for him too?
Yeah, the website that had all them maps showed up. I'll show you when you done with your point.
Okay, cool. So here's Mali. So when you look at Mali, Niger, Benin, Nigeria, Cameroon is down there, but Ghana right here. This is around 13. Let's right here at Timbuktu. Where's it? Timbuktu right here. That's where you get the title from Babylon to Timbuktu because of that Mali Empire, right? At Timbuktu, right? By Rudolph R. Windsor. But Guinea, Senegal, so this is Western Africa. And this is the time the Jews, when you go north, over here, we had colonies set up and we had governments set up. Remember, about 500 to 400 years before Ghana was established, right? With the Hebrews from Libya and Morocco, and like the brother went into it, Benin as well, right? The Gold Coast, you know. So let's get into. So he was ruling during his time. It was really a Jake that converted to Islam.
Yeah,
he was a Jake that converted to Islam. He was a Jew, because we're going to prove that as well. It said during his reign, Mali was one of the richest kingdoms of Africa, right? And this is when he came into power and became the richest kingdom in Africa. Before that, them Hamites didn't know what they were doing. Right. Mansa Musa was among the richest individuals in the world. The ancient kingdom of Mali spread across parts of modern-day Mali, Senegal, and Gambia, Guinea, Niger, Nigeria, Chad, Mauritania, and Burkina Faso. Musa developed cities like Timbuktu and Gao into important cultural centers. He also brought architects from Middle East and across Africa to design new buildings for his city. We know who the architects were: the Moors of Jews. Mansa Musa turned his kingdom into Mali into a sophisticated center of learning into the Islamic world. And it's going to say Mansa Musa came to power in 1312 CE after the previous king, Abu Bakr, disappeared at sea. This man was a Hamite, right? He didn't know what he was doing. So the Lord,
right? You know, so the Lord, no.
And it says Mansa Musa inherited a kingdom that was already wealthy, but his work in expanding trade made Mali the wealthiest kingdom in Africa. Yeah, you know, he basically bossed up the kingdom. His riches came from mining significant salt and gold deposits in the Mali kingdom. Elephant and ivory was another major source of wealth. And it says when Mansa Musa went on pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324, his journey through Egypt caused quite a stir. The kingdom of Mali was relatively unknown outside of West Africa until this event, right? So when he went all the way over to Egypt, to Eastern Africa, then there was like, oh, damn, who is this dude? Yeah, he was dominating the game in West Africa. Arab writers from the time said that he traveled with an entourage, damn, Jake loved entourages, of tens of thousands of people and dozens of camels, each carrying 136 kilograms, 300 pounds of gold. While in Cairo, Mansa Musa met with the Sultan of Egypt, and his caravan spent and gave away so much gold that the overall value of gold decreased in Egypt for the next 12 years. Damn. The man made the average of gold decrease in Egypt for 12 years because he brought so much. That's Jake, just flossing.
Right.
Stories of his fabulous wealth reached even reached Europe. The Catalan Atlas, created in 1375 by Spanish cartographers, shows West Africa dominated by a depiction of Mansa Musa sitting on the throne, holding a nugget of gold in one hand and a golden staff in the other. After the publication of the Atlas, Mansa Musa became cemented in the global imagination as a figure of stupendous wealth, man. Right? So this is Mansa Musa. He wasn't an Arab, right? Mansa Musa was not an Arab. He was a Jake that converted to Islam. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Here we go. Timbuktu Mali, right? Now, look at this. There are approximately 1,000 people with alleged Israelite roots in Timbuktu and Mali. They arrived in the 14th century fleeing persecution in Spain. So the same time that Mansa Musa came into power after Aku Bahar II, that Hamite, the Jews actually entered into Mali the 13th century. And guess what time he became king? 1312. Not too long afterwards. Right? So the Jews fled into Mali, fleeing persecution in Spain. And we're going to get how it links up as well. And migrated south to Timbuktu area at the time part of the Songhai Empire. Among them was the Kahath family. descended from Ismail John Khat al-Yahudi of Sha'ida, Morocco. Sons of the prominent family founded 3 villages that would still exist near Timbuktu, Kashambu, Hayambo, and Kangara. So these are where the Israelites were dwelling. In 1492, Askia Muhammad came to power in the previously tolerant region of Timbuktu and decreed that Jews must convert to Islam or leave. So he was that guy that basically was like, you know what, you're going to get down with Islam, and y'all going to get the hell out. Because anywhere we go, we dominate, and these nations don't like it. Read Exodus chapter 1 and verse 10. Right? Judaism became illegal in Mali as it did in Spain the same year. Let's get that. Let's actually prove that with some scholarship as well.
Salaki.
Huh.
The next book I had actually going to the Jewish expulsion of Spain too in 1391.
All right, Khan. After this, I'm gonna pass it to you. Let me get this real quick because I want to further that as well. All right, let me see. Because we gotta prove that. Let me go to that. Let me go back. All right, Khan. Here we go. All right, Babylon and Timbuktu. We brought that out earlier. Here we go. So as I said, I'm gonna touch on this earlier. We touched on the latter part for Ghana, right? We touched on the latter part for Ghana. But when you go up a little bit, it says they could not afford to be complacent or apathetic. They were hated, so empathy could mean cultural stagnation or death. The Jews imported into the western part of Africa as a superior material, educational, and moral culture soon after 300 AD. Right? And this is during the Roman Empire. And this cultural advancement was not duplicated or exceeded into the ascendancy. So guess what? When we fled into Western Africa, they have never seen a people like us again until what? Until the cultural advancement was not duplicated or exceeded into the ascendancy of Mohammedan leader Mansa Kankan Musa of Mali in 1312. And we read that Mansa Musa, he was a Jew because a lot of the Jews fled from Spain into Mali around the time that he actually became king. And guess what? That's when the same type of cultural advancement was seen since 300 AD. So it's linking up that this man was an Israelite, right? And it says in the 3rd and 4th centuries AD, the Africans on the West Coast did not possess the cultural superiority of the Africans on the North and East Coast. So basically Ham, they didn't do what he did until an Israelite came on the scene and basically bossed up the Mali damn empire, man. Right? So it's showing that this man was a Jake because basically they're saying Ham could never do what he did since 300 AD. That's almost roughly 1,000 years later. All right, so let me get this real quick. Hold on. All right, here we go. Let's see. So like I gotta find this.
And I got something after you.
I had it up here too. We got to get into this. Hold on. Slocky. Bear with me. All right, here we go. Found it. All right, come. The expulsion of the Jews from Spain and Portugal. And it's going to link up with this article. Right? It was AD 1492. Now, I want to know, for those that are watching, what happened in 1492 that they teach in American history? What happens in 1492 that they taught in American history? They have a day named after this man, and we went into it yesterday. Hey, on Friday, didn't that Issacharite say we wouldn't be here without him? Yep. That's madness. He said if it wasn't for this man that I'm talking about, remember, it's Issacharite on Friday came. He said if it wasn't for this man, then we wouldn't be here today. I mean, his mind was gone. See that? Didi put it in the chat. Columbus sailed the ocean blue, right? Christopher Columbus, the same time that Jews was being exposed from Spain and Portugal down into and we went down into Western Africa, South Africa, Northern Africa too. That's when Christopher Columbus decided that he wanted to make them slaves. He wanted to make our people slaves. You see how the history's linking up now? You see how Esau's lies don't work? What do you mean he went to India for some damn peppers? No, the same time that our people was being persecuted, he wanted to make our people slaves, and he knew where to find them. He knew where to find Northern Kingdom at and Southern Kingdom. So it was AD 1492 when the Moorish stronghold of Grenada surrendered to the armies of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella for the first time since the year 711, because our people has been over there since 600, 700, AD. All of Spain in Christian hands. The decree to expel Jews from Spain was assigned on March 31st in one of the corridors of the Great Alhambra, the palace of the Moorish kings of Grenada, because the Moors were dominating Western Europe. That goes back to the Holy Roman Empire was established when Western Roman Empire fell. Almost 1,000 years later, they were getting expelled. And that goes into Revelations 20:1, where the devil is going to be loosed a little season. Esau comes back into power, right? So it says the palace of the Moorish kings of Granada, right? Let me jump down. It says this date is of strange coincidence, right? The day was 9th of Ab, the fast day, which is reminiscent of the destruction of the first and second temples, right? Professor Alan H. Godby says that the reign of the last Israelite king of Ghana terminated in 1492. So the end of the Empire of Ghana started in 800, ended around 1492. In order to satisfy Queen Isabella of Spain, King Manuel of Portugal promulgated a royal decree expelling the Jews and Moors from his country in 1496. The Jews who were I think I had another page on that too, but it's all good. So basically, the Jews were expelled in around 1492. That's the same time Christopher Columbus, sailed the ocean, and that's the same time that the mighty empire under this king, he made the Jews convert to Islam or read. But around the time of Mansa Musa, we just now got into the empire. So they was there for roughly over 100 years before they were, persecuted. But that goes into that. That goes into that history. But you got it.
You can go to that last link.
Hold on. Right, this one.
Go to page 34. So this is another book. All right, so let me backing off what the brother brought out. It's called Africa being the accurate description of the regions of Egypt, Barbaria, Libya. All right. So this is another book. I believe this book came out in around the 16th or it's the 17th century, if I'm not mistaken. So this book came out and was published when you was a slave, Jay, when we were slaves. I want to find that real quick. I believe it was published around 1669, if I'm not mistaken. It's page 34.
Yeah.
Here we go, right here.
You found
it's
it?
Hard to see, right?
No, I exit out of it.
Oh yeah, that page right there just right. Yeah, this book was published in 1669, November. All right, so yeah, we was in slavery when this was brought out, letting you know that Esau he knows everything about you, knows everything about us. All right, he's been following us, right, documenting us, writing books on us, and all of the above since before we was in slavery. Now this touches on what the brother brought out with Mansa Musa, and not touching on Mansa Musa specifically, but touching on that time period though. So it says many Jews also. Look at that. All right, many Jews also. Right, we didn't write this. All right, many Jews also are scattered over this region. What region is that? It's talking about the Gold Coast. At the top you see it says Africa. So many Jews are scattered around this region. Some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed. All right, you can't make this up. So they was the same thing in John the 8th chapter. All right, how the Jews boasted themselves from being from Abraham and things of the nature, and the Lord had to cut them up because they didn't do the works of Abraham. It says inhabiting both sides of the river Niger or Niger, right? Others are Asian strangers, because you had our people scattered in Asia, all right, that was brought over to this part of the world and things of that nature. All right, Asian Jews that's in Asia who fled thither either from desolation of the Jerusalem by Vespasian, or from Judea wasted and depopulated by the Roman emperor. We talked about that. All right, Titus, same thing. They got destroyed 70 AD and they fled to these parts. It says, what's that? Romans, Persians. I can't really read that. What they say?
Saracens.
It's kind of blurred, right? It says, and Christians, or else such as came out of Europe. All right, we came from Spain, we came from Portugal, we came from France. And those books on that as well. All right, how we ruled Europe. So we came from Europe, whence they were banned or banished, right? Whence they were banished out of some parts of Italy in the year 1342. It says out of Spain in the year 1462, out of the Low Countries in 1350, out of France 1404, out of England 1422. It says these all differ in the habit, are divided into several tribes, having no dominion, though both wealthy and numerous, but despised of all nations. See that? So we got kicked out of every country, and we playing upon tables, despised of all nations. That goes back to Psalms 83. I'm gonna get that real quick. Psalms 83. You don't gotta pull it up. You can if you want, but I'm gonna just pull that real quick.
Pull it up. Jay can't get a break
at all. All right, this Psalms chapter 83 and verse 3. It says, they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel be no more in remembrance. We just read through a whole list. We got cut off 42, 14, 92, 1305. We got kicked out of Spain, France, Portugal. We're getting kicked out of all these places. All right. But guess what? That goes back to the prophecies of the Bible. Before that happened, Asaph already prophesied it. All right, the mighty brother Asaph, the son of Levi, he already prophesied it. I'm not going to read the rest. The rest goes into the nations. This is chiefly, actually, I'm going to read it because the next few pages going into these nations. The tabernacle of Edom, right, and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes. So we're going to touch on Edom, which is who kicked us out of those regions, and Ishmael. All right, Ishmael literally touches on the same page as well, so you can go back to the book. All right. So as we see, we got kicked off and exiled from these different places. Another book that Jake get a lot is Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. Right, you heard of that book, right? Yeah, the Lost Tribes and Promised Lands. I got it. I actually noted it in this book. Right on page 75, it mentions Christopher Columbus being a part of that, on how the Jews got kicked out of Spain in 1391. I believe it's called, if I'm not mistaken, like the Pagos or something, Pagmas.
Hey, King, too. Remember the non-buying slave trade? Remember the people from Portugal was selling the Jews when they was getting kicked out as well into Spain. So basically, they was trying to, when it was persecuted, they was also trying to make us slaves because the Portuguese was selling Jake all the way over to Japan.
Yeah. We're going to that too. Then the bond slave trade, the Papal Bull. We're gonna touch on the Papal Bull soon in the next, couple classes on how, we got how the Catholic Church in Spain made it a decree to enslave Jews of West Africa and how they shipped us all throughout the Indian Ocean. And it's a lot. Things of that nature, Nevertheless, I'm gonna let me see if I want any more on here. I'm gonna finish reading out in this paragraph. It says, out of England, 1422. It says, these all differ in a habit and are divided into several tribes. We read about those tribes, having no dominion, though both the wealthy and numerous, because we always ride on boats. The Lord said Israel is as the sand of the sea. Wherever we go and populate, best believe we're gonna populate it. All right, it's gonna go from being 2 of us to then thousands of us. So wherever we went in numerous numbers, and we was wealthy as a people. It says, but despised of all nations, and so abandoned by the Turks, right? That they are not admitted to be Mohammedans, right? Meaning Muslims. It says, unless first baptized and then go otherwise, right? Made use of, then to receive the customs and gather in their taxes. So jump down to where you see the M.
See the where?
The M right there. Actually, in that second paragraph where you see the chiefest. Yeah, right there. So we touched on how we got kicked out of those areas. All right, all throughout Europe, we got kicked out in those diverse dates that we went over. Now, the brother he touched on Mansa Musa, and he brought out how he was a Jake. He was an Israelite, but he converted to being Muslim. And we jump down. This touches on how Jake kind of got persuaded to be Muslims by the Mohammedans, how they called them, right? The Arabs, things of that. It says the chiefest cause this accursed doctrine, talking about Islam. They called it an accursed doctrine, which it is. Right? This accursed doctrine has so prospered, and from all others drawn proselytes to it. May be for that it is a subtle compound of several religions. That's plain. Several religions tolerating pleasures and not what's that say? Abgliding. Slack for the pronunciation. Its followers by reason, but faith. And it's the point right here. It says, so wielding both Jews, Gentile, Christians. So that's who the main target was. That's who Arabs was enslaving. The Jews, the Gentiles, and Christians. It says, first the Jews. All right, our people. First the Jews. It draws by the acknowledging of one only God, affirming Adam to be the first man, and Abraham and Moses to be prophets, commanding circumcisions, offerings, and the feast of Passover. Also forbidding swine, swine's flesh, and obligation of images. Right? It says the Gentiles are not different to own it. Are not different to own it because they observe them, adore towards the sun rising, admit polygamy, and some of these superstitions. Let's say, yeah, if I got this S right, superstitions. So this touches on how the Mohammedans, how they came and they conquered Africa, and it said what? It started with the Jews. Where it said first the Jews. So these is how our people became Muslim, and how Mansa Musa as well became Muslim. And in this book, it touches on predominantly the whole, like how the title says, an accurate description of Africa. So you got to ask yourself, if it's talking about Africa, why is it so many Jews being scattered throughout this region? It all goes back to the prophecies, right? It all goes back to the prophecies. Now, Q, jump to page 222. You can probably type it in. I don't know if you can just type the page, man.
Let me see.
To the side.
Nah, I'm trying
if
to.
Not, you could use the bar on the side. It'll be way faster.
You said page 202?
222.
Flipping through this.
Yeah, I gotta flip through that thing.
Come on, man. It's some good history, man. Lord willing, Jake is paying attention and seeing what's going on, man. This is some good. It's linking up. It's making sense. We're connecting. I like to say connecting bridges. You know, you're connecting bridges throughout history that links up all the way to 1619, man.
That's right.
You know, throughout the Dark Ages, Western Roman Empire, Eastern Roman Empire. You know,
what page is that?
189. You said 2 or what?
222. You can use the bar to scroll bar to the right. That'll probably make it go faster. You at 212 right now, so
There we go.
right there we go. So this page, you can go to the top. I'm gonna get the title of it. Let me see. It's not linking up with this page on here. Let me see. It should say Kingdom of the Jews, Kingdom of Samin. Try scrolling up. No, that's not it. Let's go down a little bit.
So what page you said 222?
Yeah, in this book it has it as 222. Try scrolling down just a little bit.
224. The Kingdom of the Means. Okay, this 230.
All right, try page 335. When you look in this, it's 2 page numbers.
Which chapter?
So try 335. It's 2 page numbers. This book don't got chapters.
You said 335?
Yeah. Let me see if it'll pop up on there. If not, I'll just show the screen.
Okay, this is Barbara.
All right. At the top, it should start saying Negro Land. If not, then that's okay. I'll just show. All right. Now, I didn't want to get this page, but that is a good page though. So try 335. That's where it should start. Keep going. Did you pass it? 335. Oh, there you go, right there. Yeah.
Right here.
Let's go up a little bit. No, go up. Yeah, keep going. Just a little bit. Right there. Right. So as you see right here, it says the country of the Jews. Right, or Kingdom of Samin. This is going back to Samin or Samin, which is the Abyssinians that we touched on earlier. All right. So this whole book, it goes literally into different kingdoms that was set up all throughout Africa. As you see at the top, Negro Land. All right, you had Negro Land in this thing. And we didn't even pull it up, but you got Whiter, right? The Kingdom of Judah. You got the Kingdom of Whiter that the Portuguese kind of took over. Really, Ham took over. We go into that war with Whiter and the Domi. Ham kind of took that over. Nevertheless, you got a lot of good history within it. So I'm going to read this real quick. I'm going to read the second paragraph. Get right to the point. Now go at the top. Right under, yeah, right there. It says, it lieth enclosed with mountains and deserts on the east, extending themselves to the Nile, on the south to Congo, and on the equator line, and the west to the Kingdom of Benin, which we talked about, and to the north over against the Navia. And you said what?
What's it say? Divina Media?
Yeah, Medra look like. It says country, but little known, and less conversed with under the dominion of one of the Abyssinians, which is the Abyssinians. Then as you see, got the Negro Coast, and the Negro Coast is synonymous with the coast where all the Jews was, all those Jewish kingdoms, as they say, right? So go to page, now I just wanted to show that real quick. You go to page 175. So this book covers all of that. You got West Africa, you got East Africa. Now 175 touches on North Africa.
Page 175.
Actually, let me see. Because I want to make sure it's the same thing in this book in there. 175. Like I said, it's two pages. So one say 175 and the other
do the second page again.
Second page, so try 251. Slug it for the scrolling.
It's all good. I'm trying. This is a work. That's the first precept when we got to work.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Hey, our elders was flipping pages by hand, getting damn book cuts, man. All I got to do is do this paper cuts.
All right.
So what is this, 250?
251. Let's just say the city of Tunis. Oh, there you go right there. Go up. Right there. Now, let me see. Start at the third paragraph. Go down just a little bit. Let me see if they got it on here. What's say the principal gates? Let me see. The principal gates. Should be like the third paragraph. Let's go down just a little bit. Let me see. Try going to the next page. It's in this area though.
Let me see.
Nah. All right, yeah, there it go. So yeah, go down. Yeah, right there, the principal gates. There it is. So it says the principal gates in the Arabic tongue called Bab are 5 Viz. So, yeah, I can't pronounce that. Viz Bab. You try to pronounce that? It don't even look like English.
It says Viz Bab Valonque, Bab Carthago, Bab El Bar, Bab Afirde, and Bab Efeminar.
Yeah, all right, brother.
Come on, brother. I get into the Spanish.
See that? Nevertheless, it says formerly, right, they reckoned, right, it's like formerly they reckoned there 18 eminent streets beside diverse lanes. Mind you, this is Northern Africa. All right, and after this, I want you to pull up the Gabe map again so we can get a visual. All right, it says diverse lanes, all very narrow. It says 16 markets, 350 mosques, and 12 Christian churches. Beside the suburbs, 8 Jewish synagogues. See that? 8 Jewish synagogues. And even if you ask, at my workplace, I got a lot of people that's from, so-called Africa. And I always ask them what's the two biggest, not the two biggest, but I ask them what's the main religion down there. They'll always tell you Christianity and Muslim. One brother, he told me he was a Muslim. He from Nigeria. Another brother, he told me he was a Muslim. And I believe a sister told me she was Christian. So around that area, the two biggest religions is Christianity and Mohammedanism, which is why you see mosque and then you see Christian churches. Even all the way back then, Ishmael and Esau was kind of getting their hands dirty with the land of Ham and that conquering. But as you see, that's not talked about a lot. It says, and in the suburbs of Jewish synagogues. Why is it Jewish synagogues in Africa and North Africa? Because that's where our people resided. Like how the brother brought out, we got kicked out of Spain. We fled to Morocco. You can actually put up the Gabe map so I can show the visual.
Which map?
The Gobi map. The one that got the in-depth description of West Africa.
Oh yeah, come.
Yeah. So you can go to the top and go up to the top just a little bit more. As you see at the very top, you see Spain. So that's what we got kicked out of. All right. Multiple times. 1391, right? The Pilgrims, 1492. Christopher Columbus, I believe in 1455, they had the Papal Bull where they gave that decree to enslave and come over to West Africa and take slaves back to Spain as well. So around this Northern Africa area, Morocco, that's why you see a lot of this red, because when we fled from Spain, this where we resided in. Where's Tanzania, that Northern Africa? Of course, you see Algeria, see Morocco. There it is, right there, kind of in the middle. Yeah, right there. This is go up a little bit. Right to the right there. That's where it is. So what we just read, that's the area that it's in. And as you see, you can't really see the word just through the black, but you do see that word Jew right there. Right, so you see our people were scattered all throughout Northern Africa, all throughout these regions when we left Spain.
And dominated trade. I brought him. We dominated trade heavily.
Yeah, that's why you see us in all these diverse places. Now go down to the bottom where you see Jewish traces. Remember, right there. So remember, I said, remember where Yoruba and Ashanti was. As you see, Yoruba is in the same location where you see Beni Ephraim, which means sons of Ephraim. That's northern kingdom. They came down here around 605 BC. To the right, you see the Levites. That's where the Ashanti was closely. The cities of the Levites. You go over to the right a little bit more, you see another city of Levites. All right. You go to the left a little bit where you see the Dome Kingdom. That's where Wida was. All right, the Kingdom of Judah. So you got all these colonies, and of course, throughout the rest, you know, these rare markings, that's where we dwelt at. You know. So imagine they taking all of us and they bringing all these people from the West Coast, from the North, from the South, all the way to the Americas. Who must we be then?
Right.
Right? Who must we be then? If they taking millions and millions, now scholars say 12 million was took. I'm led to believe it was more. They said through all the time in history, they took 12 millions of us and brought us to the Americas. So all these people are Israelites. So by default, we have to be the Israelites. It's not rocket science. I mean, it's playing upon tables.
You got all these Jakes in America, and every slave they took just happened not to be an Israelite. That makes no sense. We have to be the people of the book. We have to be. And I want to point out too, real quick. Going back into the Mali Empire, where the Jews that were expelled from Spain in the 14th century, and then going into Mansa Musa, this is where it kind of, you know what I'm saying, kind of went over here. And that's why it has this dotted line all the way straight to Timbuktu, because that's the migration pattern that they took. And then next thing you know, you have a booming empire. Just out of nowhere, you just have a booming empire as soon as the Israelites get there. But he's not a Jake. No, makes no sense. All right. And this is where got it.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I saying, yeah, this is where the Jews dwell. All this red is where the Jews dwell. So the Jews dwell heavily in Timbuktu and over here in the Mali Empire, man. You got Senegal, Judeo, or this is Senegal right here. Liberia, Sierra Leone, where they got, you know, you ever seen a movie, no, this is for the older brothers and sisters. Y'all seen the movie Blood Diamond, right? They were getting diamonds over there in Sierra Leone. If you know, you know, right? You got the Ashanti over here, like the brother was saying, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got it.
Kyle, you can go to page 16. It's the last page I'm gonna get in this book.
Page 16.
Yeah, page 16.
Damn, brother,
let me remember that. Yeah, it's all over the place. All right.
There you go.
Actually, let me see. Scroll down. It's like try page 7.
7?
Yeah. Because this touches on, like how you said before. Man, and then after this, I'm gonna go back to the map because you see some word in there here that goes back to the map. Go to the second paragraph. Let me see. Scroll up a little bit more. That should be it right there. All right, scroll down just a little bit. Let me enlarge my screen on my side. I'm gonna start at you see where it say Brazil in 1533, kind of at the top or in the middle. No, you had it right there.
Brazil.
It's kind of in the middle. Yeah, right there, Brazil. So I'm gonna start right there where it says "and." It says, "and in the region of Necho, king of Egypt." All right. So, brothers, I want to ask this question to the chat. You see Necho, king of Egypt. What do you read about Necho in the Bible?
Where?
You read about this man Necho. He played a big role, you know. He played a big role. So I'm gonna ask the chat, what do you read about Necho in the Bible?
Where is this guy?
King of Egypt. And as they looking, I'm read on. It says, damn it, I lost the spot. It says, and in the region of Necho, king of Egypt, some Phoenicians. Now we know what Phoenician is. Phoenician, that's the land of Canaan or the land of Israel. Before it's called Israel, it was called, Canaan or the land of the Philistines, the Phoenicians. That's where we resided at. Like how the brother said, you had Solomon who had fleets that sailed all over. After Solomon and the rest of our fathers did the same thing, we sailed all over. So it says Necho, king of Egypt, some Phoenicians, which is our people, right, the Israelites. It says from the Red Sea, sailed by the coast of Africa, right, to Gibraltar, from thence returning the same way they came, of which Herodotus. Now, Herodotus was on the map, the red map that we showed. It says Herodotus in this Mel down Melphonics says that the Phoenicians sailing from the Red Sea came into the Southern Ocean after 3 years, reaching Hercules Pillars. It says returned through the Mediterranean, reporting wonders, how they had the sun and how they had the sun at noon and the star at board, and north that sailed.
North, north side.
Okay, north side, right, or north side, in which I give little credit or credit. So you had the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians are our people. Now, Phoenicians originally are the Philistines, but we know the Philistines got kicked out that land. By the time you read about the time of Pharaoh Necho, we was in that land. So do brothers know about, no, not Daniel, not John. All right, 2 Kings 23. All right, 2 Kings 23, 29, you have Pharaoh Necho. Can we get that precept real quick?
Yeah, we're gonna verify that.
Yeah, 2 Kings 23 and verse 29. If you know about, King Josiah, then you should know about Pharaoh Necho. And that's why the history is important, right? So it's not Daniel, it's not in John, but brother got it it's in Kings. Now let's read that real quick. I'll read it. 2 Kings 23 and verse 29. It says, in the days of Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt. Just read about him in his book. It says, went up against king of Assyria, the root to the Euphrates river, or river Euphrates, and King Josiah went against them and slew him at Megiddo, and he when he had seen him. Now, this is going into the battle of Carchemish. All right, King Pharaoh Necho, he actually killed Josiah, which is one of our kings. We going and read it in context. Josiah, he was going off. He had a bloodlust for war. King Pharaoh Necho told him, don't go to war with me. God is on my side. He didn't listen. He went to war. Necho, he killed Josiah, and all this took place around when? The Battle of Carchemish, 605 BC. The same year where Northern Kingdom fled Assyria, came to the Americas, and a small remnant of them came to Africa, to the West Coast, and migrated over there. And that shows how all this still add up with the dates. Then we came in 70, 80, the bulk of us. Nevertheless, to answer the brother question, the brother Shabar got it right through the Spirit. So all praise to the Most High. All right. So that's Pharaoh Necho, king of Egypt. He slew Josiah. You read about him in First Esdras, the first chapter. Read about him in Second Chronicles, and of course, Second Kings, the 23rd chapter. So all praise to the Most High. But going back to that book and go back to it, Pharaoh Necho and Israel, we had a common trade with the west coast of Africa, and it described the trade route as well. But that's all. That's pretty much all I had on that. And certain names in here, you see it on the Gobe map again. And that book, where you get the map, you can go to that map.
The big one.
Yeah, Gobe map. Now this map comes from a book. Now the book, I believe, is worth at least like $5,000. So we don't got the book. I'm not paying for that. Nevertheless, you find screenshots of the map on the internet. It's called the Gobe map. Professor Gobe, like how the brother brought out in that West African isms book, a Judaism book. Right, but you got it.
And then when you look over here, you're gonna see the Berber Jews, right? Those Jews that was, with the Canaanites, right? Because when you go into the book Hebrews of West Africa, you have Canaanites that fled during the time the conquest of Joshua to Spain and all into northern Libya. You have Canaanites up there. Hannibal. Hannibal was a Canaanite, but he understood the Hebrew because Phoenicians, Hebrew is a phonetic language. That's what we spoke in the Mediterranean. And when the Canaanites fled, they brought Hebrew customs. And it's going to tell you Yemen Jews and Falashas, right? You can read about the Hebrews of West Africa, Berber Jews and Moors and Negro Jews, right? Which were Moors. right? You're going to find them north of the Sahara. And as I brought out earlier, we dominated trade all throughout Libya, all going back to Spain. You dominated trade. That's why they didn't like you. Tripoli, right? And then the Jews up here came all the way to Ghana. You had Jews from Morocco and Libya, Spain, France come all the way down to Mali. So there's a lot of migration that was happening. When you understand some of the migration, it's going to help understand, how our people, migrated all the way, into Africa, man, and how we had a big presence, man.
I got
So
a precept.
you got precept?
Yeah. You go to Deuteronomy 28 and 20. Go to 64. 28 and 64. All right. And that's according to the prophecies. It all goes back to the Bible.
I'll go back
all
to
right.
work.
Moses commanded us. So this Deuteronomy 28 and verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people. Yeah, the Most High wasn't joking when he said that. Wasn't playing around. Obviously, as we see today. Right? Because now we see we really scattered throughout the four corners. It says, from one end of the earth, even unto the other. And there shalt thou serve other gods, which thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Just like in America, how the two biggest religions is being a Muslim and being a Christian, it's like that throughout the whole world. And even in Africa, they would tell you themselves the two biggest religions is Christianity and Muslim. That's that the Christianity represents the wooden cross, right? And Islam represents that cobblestone, all right, that they bow down to and worship and molest and kiss all day and leave their germs and their fluids in. So that's according to the prophecies. And I actually want to touch on the kingdom of Whiter real quick. I know winding down. I want to touch on Whiter real quick.
You get a precept real quick.
Oh yeah, con.
I'm going to Genesis chapter 47 verse. Now we've been doing this since Genesis. You thought this was anything new? We've been moving around since Genesis. It's Genesis chapter 47 and verse 8. And Pharaoh said unto Jacob, how old art thou? And Jacob said unto Pharaoh, the days of the years of my pilgrimage are 130 years. Few and evil have the days of my years of my life been, and have not attained unto the days of the years of the life of my fathers and the days of their pilgrimage. So Jacob's fathers were pilgrims. Jacob was a pilgrim. We're pilgrims. We in the city that don't belong to us. We are sojourning in a land that we don't know. I don't know if you thought about that. We're pilgrims on the earth. We found out we're Israelites. We're supposed to be back over there in the east, and you over here in the west talking about I'm about to get my taxes back. I'm about to vote. You can't wait till the next elections. You're bugged out of your mind, right? Because we've always been pilgrims even since the time of Genesis, man. Jake, he knew he wasn't from there. He knew he wasn't from Egypt. He knew he wasn't from the land of Canaan was promised to us, but we weren't from there yet. We didn't establish any, we didn't have a nation there yet, man. We were building a nation. It's the same thing now. We're building a nation again. So we're pilgrims on the earth. You got it.
Pretty. You just pull up Whiter real quick. Kingdom of Whiter.
I'm gonna put this link in the chat real quick.
Okay, yeah, that's a fire map right there.
Praise the Most High. So how
you can put that link, that other link as well, the one that had all those pictures on it, touching on Israel being in those diverse places. Yeah, that link right there.
Yeah,
that's a
good site. Y'all got it. Giving it out to y'all. We literally get out the sauce right now. Do the spirit part, y'all. But Khan, you said, let me see if I can find it.
That's right.
All right. You already.
Yeah. No, I don't on there. You can just search it up. I ain't send it to you.
You said Kingdom of what?
Oh, Whiter. WHY. I think it's DIA. It may pop up. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Judah.
So you got something called the Kingdom of Judah, Kingdom of Whiter, right? I believe that's white is the Portuguese way, so you can press that. So let's I'm gonna read this real quick. Now it says, you scroll up. All right, there you go. It says the kingdom of Wida, right? Blah blah blah. Kingdom of Judah, the Yoruba, French. It says was a kingdom of the coast of West Africa and what is now Benin. It was major slave trading. Look at that. Major slave trading. So if the kingdom of Judah was a part of major slave trades, it says where? Trade area exported more than 1 million so-called Africans to the United States. Mind you, this is the kingdom of Judah. That was on the west coast of Africa. Over 1 million of them got traded to the United States, to the Caribbeans, and Brazil before closing its trade in the 1860s. So, if the kingdom of Judah got taken captive and got traded to the Americas and the Caribbeans and the Brazil, then what must that make we? And when we ask these on the highways and byways, Jake still be lost. You can make it so plain. Break down Deuteronomy 28:64. We got the pictures right there to show them. Point to the pictures, brother. Who did this happen to, brother? White
So
people.
you,
They
Jake,
mind just.
hey, Jake be like, so man, what's your message? What's your message? What do you mean? What's the brother? If 1 + 1 = 2, then no. What's your message, man? I gotta go. I'm about to smoke this blunt. God damn, Jake.
Right. Jake's so simple. It's just it confounds us sometimes. It confounds us. But nevertheless, I mean, they Esau is telling you who we are, right? So it says, I'm gonna read on. It's in 1860s. It says in the 1700, it had coastline around 16 kilometers under King Kafan. Now, King Kafan was a very wicked. He was the last king of Judah. He's the one that had the kingdom fall to the Hamites, all right, to the Dahomey people. All right, we go into, King Kafan. He was a very wicked man. He betrayed us, betrayed his kingdom and fled and allowed Ham to come in and take us over. All right, he was a very lustful. They got books on this man, things of that nature. So it says, the kingdom of Wida, right, was centered in Savi. It also had connections to the city of Oida, right? The last ruler of Wida was King Kafan, who was deposed in 1727 when Wida was conquered and annexed by the kingdom of Domi. Those are the Hamites. Those are Africans. So Ham came over and destroyed us, ultimately because we was in sin, all right, and we didn't keep God's laws. But this man was a very wicked man as well. It says the name of Wida. Then it kind of go into it. The name really go back to Judah, which is the kingdom of Judah, which migrated from Israel, as we described and showed the maps and the journeys and things of that nature. Right, as you see, as the brother highlighting it, Yoruba, things of that nature, all go back to Israel. Now you can go to a map. Just go to a map with like just a picture or something. Go to images.
Hold on, let me
just to kind of show this thing.
So I think I already got it pulled up right here.
Oh yeah, see that? Look at that.
Sorry, it's the spirit.
At the top it say, why at the bottom is Judah. So you can't make this up. We can't make this up. We literally can't make it up. We're showing you.
I didn't create this. We didn't create this website. We didn't create none of these websites. We don't have no money from any of these websites.
Look, it's a Judah or Wida slave coast, Wida Judah. I mean, it's like, how much more do you want? All right, Jake, how much more do you want? The bite of Benny. So I just wanted to show that real quick, just to show where our people was. You got a whole kingdom of Judah that you're not going to learn about in school. You're not going to learn about the kingdom of Judah in school. You're not going to learn about the Yoruba in school and how they had Hebrew customs and how you got taken from there to this place, which would make you the people of there, which are Hebrews, as the sources said, and as most importantly, as the Bible said, as plain upon tables. But you got it. That's I just wanted to make that last quick point.
Con, I was gonna bring this out too. Yeah, that's a spirit that you did. Because let me ask your history if you're in school, if you're a young man, young woman, in college, you're in school, ask your teacher, okay, since it's February, right? February's coming up, right? February's coming up, right? Ask them, instead of learning about Rosa Parks, can we learn about the slave coast, the Gold Coast? Because we learned about 1619. Where did they get the slaves from? West Africa. What countries in West Africa?
Right. Walk them down.
Yeah, walk them down a little bit. Well, that's when the first sweat comes out. The first sweat. There's a lot of countries. Benin, Ghana. Let's start with Benin and Ghana, right? What kingdoms were ruling during that time? And next thing you know, you start fumbling paper, you start dropping stuff. The coffee mug, spills the damn coffee all over the damn table. You said, "What are you trying to get to, Tyrone? What are you trying to get to, Keisha?" Well, I was just wondering, because I read this map, and then next thing you know, he got to go. He got to leave. We're going to talk about it tomorrow's lecture.
Then they give you a detention.
Yeah, they give you, what are you still doing here? Don't you have some stuff to do with your friends? Because they know they can't talk about it. They just want to talk about what happened in America. Now, let's talk about the kingdom of Judah and pull up a map like this and lock the door. It's going to get real. It's going to get real, man. But Khan, all praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, man. Let me get a closing precept real quick, man. We gotta understand this. All right, Romans 15 and verse 4 in the NLT. And it says, Romans 15 and 4 in the NLT, such things were written in the scriptures long ago to teach us. So these things was already written in the scriptures long ago. These things were written in the scriptures long ago to teach us what? Teach us our history. Your history's in here. The prophecies are in here. Everything that we need for salvation is written in this book, man. Everything. And it says in the scriptures, give us hope and encouragement as we wait patiently for God's promise to be fulfilled. And imagine that. Imagine all these, the elect all from Africa, the elect all from China, the elect all from America, the elect from South America, from Central America, all the way up there from Russia to Argentina, all of our people being gathered back together in the land where that God promised our fathers from the time of Genesis, man. We're waiting patiently for that. This gives us hope and encouragement as we prove these things to be true. As we continue to prove that the Bible is not a book of, this is not a book of Christianity, man, or Catholicism. This is a book about the Israelites, their past, their present, and where they're gonna be, man. Right? Let me get one more.
Con, did you send a link in the chat?
I sent both the links.
Okay,
Con. Hebrews 13 and 14. For this world is not our permanent home. America, this world is not your permanent home. 2 Ezra 7 told you that the day of doom will be at the end of this time. Right? And it says, and we are looking forward to a home yet to come, because the years of our pilgrimage have been few and evil, and we have not attained it to the days of our father. So we're looking for a world to come. This world is not our permanent home, man. We don't belong here. I go outside, it's -10 degrees. I don't belong in Chicago. What am I doing here? You gotta put on your jacket, you gotta damn put on snow pants, and we don't belong here. We belong in the place where the Lord told our fathers that we should have, that land that we should have, from all the way from now, the Nile River, all the way to the river Euphrates, man. All of that land belongs to us. But you got it.
I'm gonna answer the brother question real quick. He said the name of the map is Gobi, Godby.
Yeah, you scroll up. Both the maps are in there.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I don't know what.
Khan,
I thought it just okay, but Khan, you said that.
Yeah,
but Khan, I gotta. I'll go ahead.
No, I said I resent it again.
Okay, Khan. Yeah, I want to go to let's go to Sirach 43 and 30. All right, Sirach 43 and verse number 30. So you notice
you said Sirach 43 and 30.
Khan. Now, it's good information that's being brought out, and this is only, touching the tip of the iceberg. We didn't go into each tribe. We touched on Yoruba, we touched on Ashanti a little bit in depth with Hebrew customs, But when we go into these kingdoms on a whole, it doesn't look like how it looks on the modern map of Africa. How you got, Benin is only this small, and Nigeria is only this, big on the map. Before then, again, these were kingdoms that were fighting back and forth. So at one point, the Benin kingdom was extremely large, ruled by Hebrew kings. All right. And you've seen the customs that took place on a high level. You see the same thing with the Yoruba. You see the same thing with the west of not only West Coast, but North Africa and over there in Egypt as well. I don't got the book on me, but it's another good book called The Jews of Africa. All right. We all showed the brother yesterday. Probably left it in my bag or something. But you got another, oh, here it is right here. No, I don't got it. But you got another book called The Jews of Africa. Right. And that book as well touches on in depthly which spots we were in Africa, which spots we were when we was in Egypt. All right, namely North Africa, touches on North Africa a lot, but it is a really in-depth find. But nevertheless, this Sirach 43 and 30. It says, "When you glorify Yahweh, exalt him as much as he can, for even yet will he far exceed. And when you exalt him, put forth all your strength, and be not weary, for ye can never go far enough." And in all ways, we can never go far enough when it comes to serving the Most High. You got the prophecies, you got studying, you got reading, you got alms, being your brother's keeper, brotherly love on a high level. You got all these different things going into the history, going into, just everything. All right, make your body living sacrifice. Do the work, go into the highways and byways. Do whatever you got to do to make this truth prosper. All right, because you can never do enough. There's never enough repenting. There's never enough being on fire or making videos. It's always something that you can do to benefit the ministry. For sisters, you got the garments. You do what you got to do to make sure the brothers on the streets may be good when it comes to this work, etc. Making sure that you're a good wife to your husband so that he can further on with this work. So it's always something you can do when it comes to this ministry. And as the last part say, for you can never go far enough. And none of us can never go far enough when it comes to serving the Most High God, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. So always do more. All right, but you got it.
You can never, like the brother said, you can never go far enough. There's a lot more things we can learn. There's infinite. It's damn near infinite history. You can go into everything that we went into. You can go into more depth and more in depth. We just touched on a broad view of different things that we've seen, throughout Africa. But you can touch on the Berber Jews a lot more. You can touch on, the Falashi Jews a lot more. The Ashanti a lot more. There's a lot of, we didn't even get into history, over there, Jews over there in Russia, man. Jews over there in China, non-buying slave trade. Like all of these, there's a lot of slave trades we're gonna get into, Lord willing. Yeah. But with that, I'd like to give all honor and glory and praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, his brothers Yahweh,
Brother Marquas.
We like to bid a mighty strong shalom. Lord willing, everybody in the chat got the links. Slaki Didi, your sister, right? Lord willing, you got the links, right? If you don't, just scroll up. It's gonna say Zaba Yahweh. But with that, shalom.
Shalom.